on. Oh, so once again, welcome everyone. I'd like to share my screen. Okay. All right, so can you all see my screen?
Yes. Yeah, we can.
Thank you. Yeah, so once again, I welcome you. I like to call this Opportunities Laboratory. And while we'll be talking, these are the things we'll be discussing. We're really going to be looking at the culture of choice. We're going to talk about the materials you should get prepared for. It won't take long before we find that I have a soft spot and a soft bias for USA. And the reason is obvious, I'm actually in the US. But then I can assure you that these are principles that also apply to schools, particularly in Canada and UK, and by extension, Europe. So I'm going to talk about the consideration for choice of school. What are the things you should look for? And I'm just going to walk you through some practical sessions, and I'm going to entertain questions, and we have a final word together. All right, so once again, my name is Oluwabori Adekanye. I'm actually a grad student here at Mississippi State University, and you can actually find me at Twitter with that Twitter handle at Bori_SAGES. But I'd like to quickly make a disclaimer that I don't really tweet academic, what do you call it now? But then I interact with a lot of it, such that if you follow me, you will definitely get from there. But then I also know that if you are in touch with Campus Help, we have a structure in place such that almost all the opportunities that I share, Campus Help has access to it. And I believe that if you keep in touch and you are a regular follower of Campus Help activities, you will get all of those information. So I like to start on this note. Yeah, I actually have a footnote on this slide. Now, because I remember speaking with, this is the second time we'll be doing this for Campus Help. And on the footnote here, I wrote something. I said, everybody talk, the enthusiast dream, and the one who wants a stake in tomorrow acts. So dream is not enough. In my little experience working and talking with people, I always, without any exception, find out that at every instance when I talk to people about it, at the first time we have this kind of discussion, there's this excitement, there's this light glow on their face. But as time goes on, you just find that it just dissipates away. It just go away. So it's not enough to be excited about a thing. It's not enough to have beautiful dreams about it. But what really matters for those that will actually take a stake in tomorrow are those that act. So I like to put it here also to say that sometimes a bright vision that stays only as a vision is weaker than a weak action. Now, if there's a vision, you say, oh, this is a bright vision. This is what I'm thinking. This is what I really imagine and all that. But it just stays as a bright vision. No matter how bright it is, it's still very weak. It's very weak, and it's even weaker than someone that is taking an action, even though at the moment it looks like a weak action. Now, why am I saying that? Like I mentioned, while I was interacting with Temipre about this, she told me that about 60 people always get excited about this thing. But that's how life is. And that's what I want to challenge you. It's not enough to, I remember last year I was actually traveling to Abuja, and there was a friend of mine, my classmate, secondary school classmate, sometime was saying, so I just told him, well, this is what I'm going to do and all that. I was really, really surprised. As I speak to you, among many others, by God's privilege, as I speak to you, my friend is in North Carolina State University. I just told him these are the things to do. Just go ahead and do it. But I was really excited about the pace at which he got at it. It was not just excited. That's one out of the many instances. Now, there is this study, even though there are actually not controversies, there are counter arguments. Yeah, that's the best way to put it. Counter arguments. But then on whatever side of the counter argument you might be, there are empirical evidence to support that. There's a book that was written by a particular author, Malcolm Gladwell. The title of the book is The Outliers. And in the book, he was able to provide sufficient empirical evidence that being genius alone does not pull you through life. And that's why I'm also talking to somebody on this call this evening, that if you think, well, the odds are not really in my favor, I want you to know that you'll be surprised about how things will turn around in your favor if you are ready to put the work. That's what I just want to tell you. Sometimes you meet people and say, well, this scholarship thing, I really don't think it's my thing. I don't have a first class. I can tell you that I've seen people with 2-2, even with third class, but with careful mentoring on what and what to do to repackage yourself and present yourself well. And, there's a quote from the book. It said, to win a Nobel Prize, you need to be smart enough to get into a decent university and nothing more. So if you want to be Nobel, this thing, all that you need to do, or let me say, the length your being genius can carry you is just to get into the university. But there's something that was highlighted here that I like to read. I don't know if it will be ready. You could actually look for this article online. Is a Nature article. Does genius breed success? You might just look at it, but it's looking like our time. We might not be able to really read it, but it was actually pointing out two reasons why the Asians are very good at math. Number one, it said that because over time they have routines that are structured concerning mathematics and all of these daily tasks that needed mathematics and all that. But more specifically said, the Asians, they have a lot of rice fields. And these rice fields has taught them the principles of doggedness and persistence. And when you interact with Asians today, you see how beautiful they do with mathematics and all of those other quantitative related courses. All right, so I'm going to talk about your country of choice. So when we talk about when we talk about opportunities, the three main countries that comes to mind are the Canada, UK, and US. And from experience, I found that not everybody are in the same phase and position in life. So I'd like you to know your choices and to be able to make informed decisions when you are actually applying to some of these countries. Now, it doesn't also mean that some of these things are not found in other countries.
Okay.
Can you see my screen and can you hear me now? Hello? Can anybody hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, fine. I just want to be sure that I'm not talking to myself. Okay, so like I was saying that the quick route to immigration, if you actually want to have.
Yes, so can hear you right on, sir.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. So I was saying that the best way to start with is if you're actually thinking of a
We
quick,
can't hear you.
yeah, I got that. I got that. I think the feedback is taking some time. I've gotten that a long time. Thank you. So if you're thinking about a quick route to immigration status, then you want to think about Canada. You're thinking of where you can get to, and in instant time, you are actually given the right paper to actually officially become a resident or citizen of the country. You need to think about Canada. But I'm going to tell you the difference in a short time. Now, remember I said that is to mute. Talking about this question, check your microphone. Somebody will have to mute. Daniel. All right. Thank you. All right. So if you are thinking of quick admission, I can tell you, I can bet you, with the right guidance and tutelage, the admission in the UK comes faster than every other place. Yeah, from experience and from working with people, I can tell you that. But if you're thinking of diverse funding opportunities, then you should think about the US. And I want you to know that some of these currencies are high-powered currencies. And in the US, with feeding, just in the US, with feeding and all that, and your scholarship status, you shouldn't be spending anything less than $35,000, $40,000 in a year, and that's about 20 million naira in a year. So that is why I have actually have this US bias. Don't know. Okay, so but before we go ahead, these are the things to also have. So if you're on this call and you don't have a valid international passport, I want to beg you that immediately after this meeting, you should go and get your international passport. Now, the reason is because particularly for us in Nigeria, all right, is there a question that someone wants to ask? I can see Timmy Pro raised a hand. All right. Okay, so you need a valid international passport, and because of the Nigerian system, you want to get it as fast as possible so that it doesn't stand in your way, because sometimes some of these privileges and opportunities come faster than you think. Then also, you also want to get your transcript ready. You know, particularly for some schools, you know how challenging it can be. Um, uh, uh, I have actually dealt with a couple of people, and I know how challenging it can be from one school to the other. Most importantly, if you don't even get your official transcript, I want you to try to get your student copy of all the schools you have been through. And I can tell you with the right information, maybe we'll find some other time to talk about it. I can actually see how we can walk through. Even the people that have their HND can actually get scholarships. Yeah, provided they have their OND and their HND transcripts, and we can walk through that. I've seen that happen, so I'm not just telling you stories. So you also need to get your academic CV. Now, you need to know that the academic CV is quite different from a professional CV. And I believe that Campus Help should be able to give you resources on that and be able to help you on that. So you might want to reach out to them, but they are quite different. I've seen quite a number of CV. Well, we understand how Nigeria is structured, and sometimes you did mechanical engineering, and because you needed to put body, soul, and spirit together, you had to go do some things in the bank. Well, in the real sense, that bank job, except what you went to do in the bank, as is related with your mechanical engineering. If you're actually seeking for a graduate education or a graduate whatever in mechanical engineering, that part of it should not be represented on your CV, except there is a way you are going to connect it to what you have been doing. Nobody's really interested in that. Then we talk about the statement of purpose. There's an act to that. Maybe sometime we might be able to talk about it. Okay, fine. I'm just getting these messages. Maybe for some time we might be able to talk about it. Then we have the statement of purpose. Then we have the standardized test. Now the standardized test, we have the two set of it. We have the test for more like a general test. The most common is the GRE, graduate record exams. which a lot of people take, and is quite competitive, and is a standardized test. Why it's called a standardized test is because you actually don't, it does not matter what field you belong to. It's a test that have been brought to a standard that everybody from all fields can actually take it, and it can give an idea of your IQ, as it were. And then we have the test of English, which I know that Campus Help has actually been doing a great job with helping people to get what do you call it now, to get them TOEFL registered and to walk you through TOEFL and all that. So if you actually, if you have the money, or even if you think you don't, you can really make good effort to reach out to Campus Help to be of help to you on that. But I also like to quickly note that, particularly for the GRE, I always advise that if you have the money, go ahead and write the GRE. But if you don't, there are also ways to go about it. To start with, there are a lot of schools now that actually dropping their GRE requirements. You might just need to do more work with searching. Yeah, to search and to find out. And then you'll find that there are quite a number of options for you when it comes to the GRE. Okay, so why USA? I said diverse funding, of course. So this is actually a year in review, 2018, of the research and development funds that this country actually allotted to research and development. So in 2018, we found that the US allotted $606 billion to research and development. We found that in Canada just allotted something about $37.5 billion in the same 2018. And in the UK, just about 22 billion pounds. 22 billion pounds is just something around 35 billion US dollars. So that's why you see that the margin is just too wide, 606 billion compared to our 32. So there are a lot of funding opportunities. Alongside that, a fun fact, there are about 3,000 universities, we'll call colleges, actually in the US. So you just need to do more work and being persistent. I believe that there's a place for you. Yeah, so we are quickly going to go to choice of schools. So what are the factors to consider when you are sorting out for schools? Now, the reason why I walk people through this phase is because I've met people that have become cynical. They feel these things are not real, they are not possible, because they have not been harmed with the right informations, and they have become cynical because they have tried and they have not been able to really come up with anything. So I'm going to start with this. You need to factor the competition and the school ranking. So you need to know that you are competing with not just people in Delta State and River State and Ogun State and Lagos State. Now you have come to a bigger platform, and you, as you think good of yourself, you also want to be smart and strategic in your approach. And you also need to know that some of these institutions is something they have prided themselves on over the years. They are not going to compromise on their standards. If they have a program that can only take 20 people, it's just going to be 20 people. Now you can imagine having to compete for 20 slots with people from everywhere in the world. You need to be wise and know that sometimes it's not because you are foolish and all that. So for me, I always tell people, except when I see and I know that, okay, this is actually worth the salt. I tell people personally, this is not a law, but I've seen it work over and over again, that you don't necessarily need to go ahead and look for those big schools, those common schools you know about and all that. So I want to see the competition, and we're going to look at how everything can be applied shortly, the competition and the school ranking, if a school is actually. Now, let me quickly break a myth that, well, you might have heard over time that, oh, the ranking of the school and all that matters. Maybe yes, maybe not. Because in graduate education, what really matters is what you do, particularly when it comes to your research, particularly all these thesis, graduate education, your research, your PhD. What really matters is the quality of work you did. That's what really matters. The kind of research you did. So it's not not really about the competition and all that. And particularly coming to the US, even if you think about the competition, you have access and proximity to network, with the people that are in in the schools with higher ranking and all that. You have the access and the opportunity to network here in the US are far better than when you are back there. So my personal advice has always been that if you are still keen, you are looking at a particular school, you see the ranking, you see the student, but you're like, I just like this school, I want to be there. You've read something about it that you really want to be part of, then I would advise that you go ahead, apply to that school, but do not make that school your only place where you apply to. You have to apply to other places too, so that you increase your chances. Now, you also want to look at duration of program. Now, here in the US, and I tell you, some of these things, like I mentioned earlier, can also be applied to all of these other places too. So as you look at it, if your choice is Canada, you can also apply that to. If your choice is United Kingdom, you can also apply that to some of these places. Now, you want to look at the duration of program. I have come to observe that programs that actually are just starting out, they need more students to prove themselves, to make a statement, and also to attract funding agencies, funding organizations. So if you get to know, I don't know if we'll be able to touch that today, if you get to know that a program is just starting and it is a program you can do, I'll tell you that that is your shot for two reasons. Number one, it's going to reduce the competition. Number two, it's also going to tell you that there are also the chances of not much people knows about the program, so the chances of getting in is more increased. Now, this is an interesting part that I've always loved to discuss, diverse nomenclature. I'm going to quickly share my experience so that it can help you understand it better. So I actually had my bachelor's and my master's in physiology. And when I started out on this journey, I always looked out for physiology PhD. If I didn't get anything physiology, I was not interested. But as time went on, I began to find out by myself and by interacting with a couple of other things and materials that is not the way to go about it. Some of these programs that I'm eligible for have diverse nomenclature, diverse names. Take for example, I did physiology, but later I found out that I could actually take my program, my PhD in biochemistry department. I could do things in cell and molecular biology. I could do research work in biomedical sciences. And if you look at it, the ratio of physiology department, as it were in quote, to some of these departments that I just mentioned is like about maybe five to say 100 thereabout. So I was just shortchanging myself, not going. So what am I saying this? You need to also think and play with keywords. There will be what do you call it now? Take for example, I remember this used to come and did. I used to say that there are programs that for maybe somebody that did something like geography, urban regional planning, and all of those things. I cannot remember if I've actually found any regional planning department in the US. I've not really done a thorough search, but I don't think I've actually come in sharing information and all that. But you see things like Safer Cities Initiative, something this city, something that city, and those are things you want to look out for. And we are quickly going to see it very briefly, how you can actually play with related keywords. Then also spread your seed. Keep applying. Apply, and apply. And one of the things that people tell me when it comes to application is that, well, I want to, but I don't have application fee. And I can tell you that there are schools where you can request for application fee waiver. Now, this is a kind of template to request for application fee waiver. Maybe some of you might want to take the screenshot. Nothing so big, just very brief and direct. You write to the graduate coordinator or the graduate school. Now, recently I developed an app also. I discovered rather an app that there are a lot of schools that they're also trying to push themselves out. The point is this: here in the US, there are metrics. There are some metrics that are used in evaluating schools, and also that also attract grants, funding agency. One of such metrics is diversity and inclusion. How diverse is this school? How are you able to attract more international students and diverse race? That is actually a pointer to the funding agency and the organization that go about the metrics and the metrics rather and the ranking and all that, that this is a very strong school and a strong program. So because of that, the schools are also trying to woo themselves, also trying to attract students. So you are going to begin to see things like virtual fair. Virtual fair is actually, normally before the world became virtual, schools normally do school fair. So it's like schools come together and then they have their representatives, and then I know that they used to do that in Lagos and the United States Embassy in Lagos back then. I don't know how this works now, but the point is this: now they are moved to virtual fair. The schools will talk about themselves, share their goals and all that. Now, I know of somebody that did, if you try to attend those virtual fair, you can actually write the graduate schools for application fee waiver, and it works. About 8 or 10 times, it works. So, and somebody is thinking, how do I get this virtual fair? How do I know? Don't worry, we are just going to look at it in a moment. Let me just open my browser. So can everybody see my screen now? Can you see my screen? Oh God. Can you see my screen? Okay. Okay.
Yes, sir, we can see
Okay.
it. I can see your
Fine. Thank you. So now, I don't
Yes,
know
sir.
how long we have, but let me just do something. Normally I will, okay, anybody can just quickly drop in the chat box if we have all the time, your program, and let's work together. Let's see how we can look for funding and all of these other things for your program. So anyone, you can just drop it in the chat box, your program, and let's see how we can apply the principle we've discussed. Drop in the chat box and let's walk through it together. Let's see how we can apply the principle we've discussed. And maybe you are looking for PhD in this or MSc in this, just drop it there. I'm going to pick the first. Okay, I'm waiting for you. Okay, thank you. MS in Public Health, I got that. So MS in Public Health. Public Health is very, very, very popular, but I'm going to go by my word. Okay, so if I was going to, if I'm looking for MS in Public Health, the first thing I want to do is, I might want to start with Google. You type something like MSc in Public Health in the US. Now, when you look at Google, these things are called ad. So you really don't want to really bother yourself with some of these ads. Now, when you come to, you will find some what do you call it now? Some blogs. Some blogs will give you a list of the institutions that offer the program in the US. So let's see what this blog has for us. Sometime I use the blog. Sorry. Trying to walk. Like this. I'm sorry, the task bar of the Zoom is actually hindering my access to the tab I just opened. I'm looking for how to get it optimized for video clip. No, that's not what I want to do. Cancel. Okay. Let me see if I can use a different browser. Sorry. Okay, fine. Okay, so here is it. Okay. I'm sorry for that. Okay, so we have this public health degree in public health. So we have this what do you call it now? We have this blog that has given us a list of schools. Okay, so this blog brought University of San Francisco, John Hopkins. Now, of course, if you are somebody that is really conversant with happenings in your field, you know that when we talk about John Hopkins, they are actually authority. So I'm going to start with something that's going to give me an idea of how it's going to give me an idea of the competition and the ratings of John Hopkins. So I'm going to say that acceptance, acceptance rate into graduate programs in John Hopkins University. Okay. So as you look at the highlights, this is telling us that the acceptance rate is 14% and the graduation rate is 90%. Okay, so there's somebody that needs to work on it. Please be mindful of your mic when you are Zoom. Pause. Okay, so the application, the acceptance rate is 14%. It means that for every how do we put it now? For every 100 persons that applies, we just only have just about 14 people. That gives us an idea that that is actually a competitive place. And there's a school that I used to also use as an example, University of Pennsylvania. I think the acceptance rate is about 7.7%. So you really don't want to get yourself involved with a kind of place like that, at least to start with. So let's look at Northeastern Illinois University. So let me just repeat Northeastern Illinois University. Northeastern Illinois University. So we have an acceptance fee of acceptance rate of 58%. So for every 100 people that apply, 58%. Let's look at University of Louisville. It's just giving us an idea. So this begins to give you an idea of where you want to apply to, because this is data they have had over the years. And nothing is really going to change it now, except you are so convinced on your kind of application. Now, I'm not also saying you should sell yourself short, but I'm just saying you have to consider some of these things so that you can accelerate to grad program in North or in University of Louisville. I just feel like, okay, we might just pick this University of Louisville. So we have 72%. So this is fair. I would say you can actually apply to places like this. It doesn't also stop you from applying to some of those places, but I'm just saying so that you know what you are into. So I'm going to pick University of Louisville. Louisville. So that's going to be, I think that's in Kentucky. So I go to University of Louisville. So let me enlarge my screen. So when you go to every university, particularly, they might have, definitely will have different UI, UX design and all that, but the templates are always the same. So in academics, you're going to find the grad school. It should be the grad school in academics, schools and departments. So in schools and departments, you'll find the graduate school. Go to the graduate school. Some of them will have direct websites. Some of them will show you where the website is. So we have the website here. So we click on the graduate school website here. So here we have the graduate school website. There are a couple of things you want to come find out here. You want to find out future students. This quickly give you an idea of what you should expect. So we have university fellowships. So these are the financial support. We have graduate student research fund, we have fellowships, we have external funding for grad students, we have financial support for grad students. You might want to come and read this because this is what you're actually looking for when it comes to funding. Yeah, so they will tell you we have university scholarship, university resources, university fellowships for qualified new doctoral graduate students. 3 fellowships include a stipend, a full tuition, health insurance. We don't have all the time, but these are the things you want to come and look at and to know what you need. Now, there's also something that is called graduate assistantship, and this is what I've highlighted. Is almost in some schools is almost automatic that they give grad students that applies to their program. And in some other schools, you have to actually request for it, like you have to make a separate application. But the point is this, once you get admission, the chances are, with a principle I'm going to share very briefly, the chances that you get it is very there. So what is graduate assistantship all about? You are going to be